Welcome back to the channel, everyone, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm very excited because the new 2025 horror film, The Black Phone 2, releases this weekend in theaters, and I'm here to review it for y'all. Now, I went to go see The Black Phone in 2021 in theaters, thought it was good, didn't think it was anything to write home about, but thought it was a good watch, and I thought that this film did not need a sequel. I thought this film was good on its own. So when I heard they were making a sequel, I thought, how's this going to work? This is going to be a cash grab. They can't do this right. But then I saw Scott Derrickson, the director, was coming back, and they were bringing the original cast back, including Ethan Hawke. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe there's something here. Well, come to my surprise, there was something here. What The Black Phone 2 is about is Finn, who is now 17, struggles with life after his captivity, and his sister begins getting phone calls in her dreams from the Black Phone and seeing disturbing visions of things that have happened at a winter camp known as Alpine Lake. That's all I'm going to kind of say without being spoilerish here. How I'm going to do this review today is I'm going to give you guys my positives, my negatives, and then give you guys my overall final conclusions on the film. Starting with the pros. So I loved the 70s aesthetic of the first film back in 2021. Here, it's 4 years later. So it's 1982, you're in the 80s, and I really loved this 80s vibe that they were going with in this one, and thought that they used the 80s aesthetic to the best of their ability. The score here was really 80s kind of synth and added to a lot of the horror scenes and really elevated the movie as a whole. I thought the cinematography was breathtaking. There are some shots here that utterly just blew me away. They do some things here with the dream sequences where it's like Super 8, like 8mm camera quality. So the color grading is dropped massively and it looks almost grindhouse-like. And I really thought that was fascinating. They do it a lot in the film, and I never got bored with that at all. I also wanted to point out, because one thing I really loved in the first film was the brother and the sister dynamic and how their relationship with each other worked and the chemistry that they had. And here, it's even better, I thought. It worked even stronger, and they're older now, so they're dealing with more issues that are more relatable. And I really loved how the first film was Finney's story, and I loved how this one was Gwen's story, and really gave Madeline McGraw a moment to really showcase her acting ability, because she already blew me away in the first film. She was exceptional, but here she just ramped it up to an 11. She is an absolute revelation in this film and knocked my socks off with her performance. All the performances across the board are really good. The actor who played Finney, I thought he did a really good job. I thought Ethan Hawke did a really good job in his scenes, and the whole rest of the cast did really good jobs of their roles. But Madeline McGraw is definitely the standout and the thing I leave the theater remembering for sure. I am a sucker for when horror films take place in the snow or in a wintry environment, and this film did snow horror really well. We don't get enough snow horror movies nowadays, and I really wish we did, because when you combine the feeling of coldness with the feeling of just pure terror, it just adds up to being the whole perfect package. I loved the overall atmosphere of the movie. I thought that was really great. I thought the editing was really cool, especially during those 8mm like shot on film scenes. I thought that was really good. I thought the sound design was exquisite, especially during those moments as well, and during some of the slasher moments in this film. The way this film builds upon the lore that was already established in the first film, but adds some extra layers, adds some extra twists. There's going to be a twist here that may not work for everyone, but it worked really well for me, and I think it'll work well for most people. But it's definitely gonna make for an interesting discussion, and I really liked what they did to expand upon the first film, but also make things better in a way. So when I go back and rewatch the first film now, there's going to be things that I like even better now because of the second film. So I really respect that aspect as well. There's some really disturbing and dark imagery. This is a very dark film, and I really thought that all worked really well with the tone of this film. And the kills were, when there were kills in this film, they were done really well. There's one I'll say is a window is involved, and that kill is really cool. I really loved that. Thematically, I thought this film worked really well. I thought there was interesting themes about trauma, about forgiveness, about grief, about all sorts of different things there. I also thought there was really interesting themes about faith and religion. For those of you who don't know, Scott Derrickson is actually a Christian. So he implements moments of faith within all the movies that he does. And here it's the most prevalent. And I feel like there was it was interwoven into the narrative. And there was parts where it thematically it was talking about blind faith versus true faith, and how when you follow religion, which is just a man-made byproduct, versus faith, which is fully you and God, then it's a night and day difference. And I thought there were some interesting kind of elements there that the film was trying to discuss. And it even made me look back on my own faith, because I am a God-fearing man. I have faith. I grew up in the church, and I thought this was something that was really fascinating from coming from my standpoint, and made me just ponder on the car ride home about things. So I really like that. This also pays a lot of homage to a lot of classic horror films, and for some people they're going to say, "Oh, it's ripping it off." I don't think it is. I think it pays homage to those horror films while adding its own twist and its own flavor simultaneously. So I thought that was pretty nice. Now, as terms of the cons, the things that didn't quite work. The film definitely has some pacing issues, especially if you are a Grabber fan. You are going to be disappointed, because the Grabber himself, Ethan Hawke's character, shows up at like the 1 hour mark of this movie, and he's maybe in about 25 minutes of the film total. He's really not in it a lot. So if you wanted a lot of Grabber action, you're not going to get it. And that was kind of a bummer for me too. I wish that we could have gotten more there. I wish that they also would have done more with the horror. I think that the horror was kind of light once you got to it. I felt it was all creepy up before you got to the Grabber. But then once you got to the Grabber, they could have added a little bit more there. There's, of course, also a couple scenes that are your, fake or cheap jump scares that are kind of annoying. Wasn't really a fan of that. The film is overlong. To me, it's like 1 hour 56 minutes. I felt like you could have trimmed it down just a bit, a hair, just a tiny bit, and made it maybe 1 hour 50, 1 hour 45, and then boom, that would have been like the perfect time for this film. I thought at times the writing, the actual dialogue itself, was a little clunky. There were moments or jokes made in the film that didn't quite land, and thought they didn't necessarily need to be there, didn't add to anything. So that aspect of the film, I also wasn't a fan of. I probably would have taken those out to lower the runtime. I understand having humor, and having cussing in your movie, I'm totally fine with that, but like you got to make it feel earned and like it fits the narrative, and it didn't really fit with the rest of what was going on in this movie. There's also something that happens to two characters. I'm not going to say what it is. There's something that happens to two characters, and it goes by so fast. I that I was like, wait, are they what happened? And not only does it go by so fast, but then they just ignore it later, so you don't even know what actually happens to the character in the end. Like, did they live or did they die? You have no idea because they just kind of don't even show it. They don't discuss it anymore. It just happened, and then all of a sudden it's just no longer an issue. And I thought that was a bit weird. They could have filled in some space there just to at least let us know what happened to these characters, but they didn't. That was a really strange choice. And there is some odd kind of decisions that were made in this movie, but that is definitely the strangest choice of all. Overall, though, guys, I was really pleased with The Black Phone 2. Thought that this was maybe even better than the first film, honestly. I think I liked this film better because it was darker. It had more to say thematically that I was personally able to connect with. I wasn't really able to personally connect with the first film, but with this one, I was really able to. And I loved the 80s aesthetic and the homages it paid to certain horror movies. And so overall, really loved The Black Phone 2. One of the best horror movies I've seen this year so far. What did you guys think of The Black Phone 2? Did y'all like it as much as me? Did y'all think it wasn't as good as the first one? Was it even better than the first one? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure, guys, that you like this video, subscribe, share, ring that notification bell so you do not miss a single review. I will see you all in the next one. Until then, stay spooky, my friends, and keep on watching those horror movies.